Alright, welcome back everyone. 皆さんお帰りなさい。今日は279日目です。Is day 279. Had a bit of a yap session, an excellent yap yesterday. It went quite long to the point where the review popped up again for like a third of the stuff. So we only have 72 today of the 101. It's gonna go pretty quick. Then we're gonna roll right into Hanzuhiro and then catch up on our Inktober prompts. Let's get into it. Pretty quick, hopefully. Still fresh in my head. It was less than maybe 10 hours ago, I think. Right? Right. Sozo.
抜ける
Nikeru. Oh, wait. Yes. Oops. Wait.
隠居する
どうする Mark. Uh,
印
Shirishi.
"結構です」
Ekko desu. Or I don't. How do you? No, thank you. It's fine. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. What? Oh.
手がかり
Akari. Wait a minute. No, wait. And hang.
"春巻き
Maki.
故障
For sure.
造園
Zoen. Oops.
再来年
Mm.
建前
Atemae. Oh. Don't care.
お構いなく
Okanamai. Okamai. Okamai naku. Okay.
腰抜け
Okay. Heck.
構造
Kozo. There's some other word. Oh, no. It's just structure. Huh. I thought they accepted another word too.
障害
Right. Dang it. Okay.
激励
Ikire. It's fine. Oh, like Kaidan. Right. Sorry, that just dawned on me.
– 客観的
Icky. Oh.
比較する
Katsuru. Okay. Uh, they're giving him handing over two things.
与える
Alrighty. Heck. Uh. Hmm.
効果的
That's a- Dang it.
捉える。
捉える。I don't have anything very good for Naya. I guess it's gonna stay as Naya now. Uh,
答える、
答える。
巻き寿司。
まずい、巻き寿司。
見抜く、
見抜く。They like see and take out. You want to see? Okay. Wait.
限定販売。
限定販売。Yeah?
小規模、
小規模。
逮
逮
捕する、
捕する。製造。再来月。
作る。
作る。
統一、
統一。統一。Expense. To expense. The spending. Talk about field here.
費やす、
費やす。Okay.
大規模。
大規模。
供給、
So cute. This one was a little weird, right? To hinder. What? Oh, to irritate. Yeah, this is irritate, right? Wait, does that? Hmm. Oops.
触る
What is?
お手拭き
Oh, Tiff. Oh. Uh.
従える。
考える。Okay.
障子
承知。
励ます
出ます。Wait. Oh yeah, because of the nature of it. Okay.
手渡す
渡す。
腎臓。
と。
悪影響。
影響。This one. I think this one's a little different. What does it mean? Preparation. And degree is being changed, right?
支度。
Stuck. Is WaniKani going well today? It is. How are you doing? Do you use WaniKani? We're about to finish WaniKani for today, actually. You're doing fine. You sometimes use it, but you're not very. But I'm not very often. Okay. What do you use often? I guess.
着替え
I don't know what how at my level though. Okay. So what do you do? What do you do often? Being that you started off with not doing something, I imagine you're not doing a lot of things. It doesn't have to be about learning Japanese. Like a general question. General question.
抜き出す
That's
「属する
That's kind of a little sketch. To belong to? Alright, that's fine. I guess.
創立
Solitsu. Alright, that's it for today. Oh, you're usually playing games, reading news, lurking on Twitch, watching anime, besides work, of course? Oh, so what do you do for work? What kind of games you're playing currently? What kind of news is interesting right now to you? And how so about lurking Twitch? What kind of Twitch channels do you lurk around? What are the type of animes you're watching right now? The anime that suits your fancy right now. Plenty of things going on in your life. You sometimes use WaniKani when you feel motivated to learn kanji. Ah, that's fair enough. That sounds great. You're learning, you're attaching learning with when you feel good to learn, right? Sometimes when you're doing something, I don't want to be in the mindset of doing it. Otherwise, it can become a source of negative motivation. Alright, let's go over our reads today. I don't have to go over so we're just gonna call them out now. We do deaf. Do deaf and monics? Do we do deaf, monics, and read? No. We skip and go straight to deaf and read today. This is day 3. Alright. We have downstairs. Eat. Stomach. Good. Belly. Tsu. Pain. You work in an archive. Oh, that's interesting. Hello there, Xing. Playing mainly Counter-Strike. Fair enough. You can't argue with statistics. Plenty of people. Watching a small Pokemon variety streamer from Germany. Oh, are you German? By any chance? I wouldn't be surprised. From Western Europe, German fits around, like, it's statistically for me like represents 80% of Western Europe. You're Norwegian? Interesting. You are the 4th Norwegian that I've met. So Germans and Norwegians make up the vast majority of my coincidental encounters. For what reason? I have no idea. Maybe statistically you guys like Twitch or something. But I've spoken with, let's say if you give me 50 encounters, 15 of them will probably be Norwegian, and 30 of them will probably be German. And then occasionally you throw in everything else. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I've been doing this for over 7 years, so my statistics still hold up. It's Norwegian, German, and then if it gets slightly later, UK, British. And then if I get super late, we're all the way on the other side of the planet, which is Australia, the Pacific Islands. And then during my time frame, which I rarely am during my time frame, you get Florida, California, and Texas. And that's about it. If there's anything in between, they're like I have lots of questions. Why is that the case? I have no idea. Like to this day, I have yet to meet a Spanish person. or like a French person. Oh wait, I have met one French person. Despite like talking about language the whole time, it's pretty interesting. The makeup. Xing Xing here happens to also be acquainted with being British and Australian at the same time, with those regions in mind. Xing Xing kind of like represents all those regions at one time. It's not like okay, in my region, I forgot. There's also Brazilian, of course, Brazilian because of Japanese. But it's really funny how the internet works, or pre-selection for the internet. So you work in archive. What is that like? Is that like a sensitive thing? Should I be asking you? And then you're currently watching Gintama, Detective Conan, and One Piece. You're Dutch? There you go. Living in Australia. Yeah. What you call it? I recently, this year, I watched all of One Piece. Or all the way up to the most recent arc. So we're talking about like 11:30-ish. 11:30-ish. So that was pretty cool. Detective Conan, it's been a while. I think that was maybe 10 years ago when I watched Detective Conan. Gintama, I have not started Gintama. And the reason why I started One Piece was because we were just listening. Where I was listening for like listening practice. So blitz through One Piece. It was really refreshing to hear as I was going through One Piece. There are a lot of Spanish and French speaking people in the world. Certainly. So weird you having a lot of visitors from there. I know, right? And just so you know, in case you're wondering, I am surrounded by Spanish people. Currently I reside in the United States, and I reside in like a specific region in the United States. So specific Spanish speakers. I was referring to Spain Spanish. So like people in Western Europe, because there's even Norwegian, maybe Netherlands is far third. Netherlands, Belgium, but it's Germany and Norway. Like it's Germany and Norway consistently. But when I said Spanish, I meant Spain, as in the Europe thing. In terms of Hispanics, plenty of Hispanics, because I'm in like the North American, like the Western Hemisphere timing. But it's interesting. I don't know. Norway. Yeah. You have news from me, Xing Xing. What about the news, Xing Xing? Hit me up. What's happening? What do you got? And then there was a lot of questions. Oh yeah, no worries. Answer any question you're comfortable with, obviously. We're doing like a speed dating. This is the speed dating protocol. You became an auntie again yesterday. Again? You're a multiple time auntie? Well, congratulations. Congratulations. I hope it's everything's healthy, right? Congratulations on your double auntie status, or triple. Where are we at right now? Double auntie status? Your sister's second child? Dang. Double auntie status. Nice. I do not have my sister and I have one younger sister, and we do not and neither of us are married, so we don't have any in-laws as well, so we are not uncles or aunts yet. No aunts, no uncle or aunt status. My sister and I anyways. There are a lot of what you call it? Yeah. One Piece. How far are you do you watch them to catch up, or are you watching them as they're releasing? Speed dating. This is speed dating. The stranger speed date. Rapid questions. I need materials to talk about. I met another Norwegian. We kind of had a falling out. That person had a bit of a loner thing, so it was bound to happen. However, we spoke for some time, maybe like a good year or two, and then that person bounced because of a disagreement about, or they felt that it was a disagreement, I suppose. One Piece is your favorite show? You're currently on, okay, 11:43, so basically caught up. Yeah. If that's your favorite show, have you been keeping up with Netflix? I also want to watch the One Piece live action. Choppa was recently teased, so dude, Choppa, they landed. I'm excited. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to see what what's the Wit Studio do with the Netflix production of One Piece. Wit Studio, I enjoy Wit Studio's creations. They usually do like the first season of Fantastic Things, like Vinland Saga. So I'm excited to see what Wit Studio is going to do for the first arc of One Piece in the future. It's a nice time to be a One Piece fan. I don't know if I feel like Gintama is probably ready for a reboot as well. It's been that long. Oh, you're talking about the live action? Both. Just both. Choppa was only released for the live action, so I was only talking about the live action there. In terms of Wit Studio announcement, it's gonna be a while still. The remake is like, I don't think there's an ETA on it. But both. It's nice to see that there's a landing for a Western audience, right? And I understand that we're technically Western audience for that type of thing, but like less niche Western audience. Maybe there's a normalization for the Chappa crew, you know? Exciting times. Now, One Piece video games, on the other hand, might need a little TLC. Maybe one day they'll commission Arc System Works to make a One Piece 2D fighter or something. Arc Systems Works is getting a lot of commissions for large IPs. Their next one is Marvel. You played World Seeker and some of the Pirate Warriors 3? Yeah. Pirate Warriors was the Koei, right? The Koei ones, the Musuo makers, like Dynasty Warriors and whatnot. And then World Seeker was, I forgot what that studio is that does like the Naruto stuff and the JoJo stuff, right? I try to keep track of developers, but I think those are the two that get IPs for their particular ones. The Musuo games are the Dynasty or the beat 'em up things. Interesting. I don't play fighting games anymore too often. You're not good with developer names, sadly. Okay. No worries. Yeah. I'm like waiting now. I'm like dormant. I'm dormant waiting for whatever the current arc of One Piece completes, and then I'll watch it. So what is it like to work in the archives? May I ask? Or is that like some sensitive material? Because I feel like archives can be sensitive. I'll go on and do this while we brainstorm about that. I retreat. This one. Naya, Barry. Worry. Not the greatest. Spare time. Shiki. Shiki. What was the other one? Shoku. Shoku. Weave. Me. Astray. Waku. Misguided. You. Invite. Shu. Get a position. All. Visit. You mean a lot of the information in documents can be sensitive, but there is no problem talking about the profession. Oh, okay. May I ask what is it that brought you to archiving? Like, is it something particular that drawn you there? You are probably the first. Oh well, I have a friend. I have a friend who acted as a paralegal, which is dealing with archiving too, or transcriptional archiving and whatnot. But they were more doing it for productivity's sake. It's very random that you ended up with a job. I feel like there's an interesting story behind that. Yeah, worked archive document center. Yeah, for 6 years. 90% of the workday is in front of a PC screen. I can relate to that in an incredibly contextually independent situation. I totally can empathize with that. Even prior to in my professional time, I would say, yeah, a bit majority, or staring at invisible containers of invisible liquid, or staring into space. That's Other than that, staring at a PC screen is probably a great way to characterize the experience. Sometimes staring at paper, but you know, we're kind of past the age of paper where when you're reading something, maybe we can put it under pro environment, but usually I'm reading PDFs and stuff on the screen, much like looking at documents. So I'm generally looking at documents on the screen. Gone are the days of flipping through papers, but I did make that transition. I used to work in science, so most of the time you're just paging through things or staring at a PC screen. And when I think of archives and documentation, that's the context that I'm asking about, because the sensitive documents. And occasionally when people are in charge of sensitive documents, it can be a little sensitive about where or what the details of their work. Kind of like legality things. Tell me a little bit, like, if you were to pique someone's interest, I'm not saying that you have to feel like that, but if you were to make your very random story interesting to someone who doesn't know how you end up with a job, what would be points that you would say? Not very interesting? Okay, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Didn't know what to do after 10th grade. I see. An advisor recommended a school you attended. Special class, kind of interesting. Who helped you search for an apprenticeship in a municipality? Ended up on the archive. Oh, and the rest is history. That sounds like the advisor set you on a path that. Are you satisfied with what you're doing? I mean, I imagine you around like 6 years. That sounds like a sufficiently satisfying position. Full disclosure, I talk about work all the time and like people's satisfaction and interest. Honestly, I find other people's life very interesting, and yes, I do have to concede 90% of the time people tell me their life isn't interesting, so hence I continue to ask them about their lives. My life is, if I described it, I wouldn't tell people that my life is not interesting, but I wouldn't say it's extraordinary as well. But it is different, and I think that is a great excuse for telling people that your life is interesting, because we don't share the same life. I think it's a lot more common to say this online, right? Because online is a little different. So I like the idea of, if you want the interaction online, if you truly believe it's different from IRL, I think one of the shining examples of meeting people online is that whether you think your life is interesting or not online, it will be significantly different from the person you're speaking to, likely. In IRL, right, you go to your neighbor's shop and the local market, and in a small town or in a city where you share the same space, there's a chance perhaps you can say immediately, it's not interesting because we do the same thing, or we do the similar things. Despite that, they have empathy. We have intrigue. Yep. It were a real good chance you would end up on disability benefits. Oh, interesting. You have disability benefits in Norway. I hear disability benefits a lot in the United States, largely because the people around me, I'm surrounded at that particular age, especially the people I know's parents, because most of our parents are senior citizens now. So it's kind of interesting to bring up. I don't want to pry too much, but hopefully you're feeling healthy. You're still like healthy, but able to enjoy what life has to offer despite the disability, right? Sound like you have you sound like you have things under control. Yeah, well, welcome. Thank you for sharing, by the way. Thank you for sharing. Do you have any aspirations to converse in Japanese? Like, I do you have other languages that you speak? I imagine you speak some sort of dialect, right? A regional dialect or accent of Norwegian. I was born with a disability, used wheelchair full time since you were 12. I see. All body muscles weakened, but you still manage pretty much everything independent in daily life. You're comfortable in sharing. Aw. Well, I appreciate that. Way to go. Is it, when you say all your body muscles are weakened, this might be a little too personal. Is it like is it muscle atrophy from disuse, or is it a muscular issue, like muscular dystrophy or something, where you can't do upper body stuff despite being confined to a wheelchair? I think about this because it's remarkable seeing how people adapt to their circumstances, especially being confined to a wheelchair. There are some incredible, obviously, grain of salt, right? These individuals are probably a bit extraordinary when it comes to the internet situation, but like, you know what? I also I know this might not be the same thing, but also people who like lose one of their legs and whatnot, like that one kid who makes it his thing to celebrate having prosthetics and whatnot. Also, a little bit related to that, I believe there was a tech coverage about the first use of Neuralink. I understand Elon Musk. Well, besides that, the whole idea of Neuralink, if someone was able to operate using their thoughts, right, their electromagnetic, not electro, but electro signals from their brain to operate a robotic arm to manage to drink something, like carry a drink and whatnot, which is really cool. Technology like that sounds, I would like to think in the future, when miniaturized or integrated into the home, that'd be such a wonderful additional life exploration to make life pretty interesting. Not sure what all those hard English words mean, but it's called spinal muscular atrophy. Okay, yeah, type 3 makes sense. Yeah. So there's no, like, there's a lot of undue like, there's not a lot of wiggle room to be able to condition the other parts of your body that's still useful. You remember reading something about Neuralink stuff? It's really cool, but you're not really interested in that at the moment. I wouldn't be interested in like I would probably be cautiously optimistic. I'm sharing that story because it's interesting to follow stories that may be relevant to other people. So whenever I think about, I think about people's welfare most of the time. That's how I like to talk to people most of the time, right? Like when they share something, it's usually I ask them about their lives, and then I read a lot, I hear a lot. So most of the time I try to grab a story that is often related to the person's life. And honestly, if they tell me their life isn't interesting, I at least want to share something that could make their life interesting, which lots of technology tends to help. I think technology advancements for individual who want to create and still continue to do more despite physical limitations and biological limitations, that is a great thing to look forward to, or being at least cautiously optimistic. No, like every once in a while I'll read about it. Or like VR tech, have you ever considered using some VR tech? I mean, there are some really interesting VR tech. Maybe even augmented reality stuff, where it doesn't require necessarily, like, you can what you can convert like specific movements into an experience in motion. Like something about the brain is able to create and convert motion function in different ways. Like a hand, like a pointer finger could be the motion of moving forward kind of situation. By the way, you can't keep up with everything we talk about, so I missed some questions, but remind me if you have some specific things you didn't answer. You're perfectly fine. No worries. I will try. But generally speaking, I hope you don't feel pressure to remember everything or answer everything. Whatever catches your attention. I'm kind of spitballing, throw some stuff. And whatever it is that catches your attention, usually that is where we go, where we would talk about. Neat. So you're saying you do things independently in daily life. I imagine you have people around you, right? That in case something happens. Speed running, how to get to know each other. Yeah, speed running, how to get to know each other. Yep, that's what you gotta be able to do that to some extent, efficiently, talking freely. We don't have a lot of time when it comes to meeting each other online, so adapting communication skills for that can change up the dynamics, try to reach a connection that might not be available elsewhere. Like, I'm not entirely sure how common that is. Most of the time it's hi, and then when I say hi back, I'm not sure that person's there anymore. Because they don't say anything back, right? I understand you mentioned lurking on Twitch. I don't, like, I'm definitely guilty of hopping into a channel and not saying anything, right? Most of the time I people watch online. You have lived alone last 3 years, but you do get help from some kind of care worker in the mornings and the weekdays. You could manage yourself, but you appreciate the help. Excellent. I was asking that question largely because as much as independence is great, like for example, I am lucky enough in my life not to have any particular muscular atrophy or like in some ways. However, it's kind of nice despite that having, loving support relations around you. There are things that one can become very prideful about, but at the same time having the reassurance of companionship actually inadvertently makes life very interesting too. One thing that I do enjoy about companionship or people who talk to each other and have time talking to each other and sharing is the idea that there is another reason to be excited and alive and to live for, right? And that's kind of why I do this, by the way. It's kind of a segue into why study on Twitch, or why study and show that at all. Well, kind of nice showing that you're living and doing things. And I hope other people continue to live and do things and be interested in their own life. Sometimes when you get caught up in the internet hustle culture, you kind of stop living in the process. You end up vicariously being complacent in living through others. And it's more of a balance, right? I'm not saying do entirely one thing or the other, but it's a balance. Being interested in others while also being interested in sharing what you're doing. It's not arrogant. Like, I don't think it's hubris or arrogance to be telling people your life is interesting. Largely because the presumption is the other person probably knows nothing about your life. Like, here I have one question that is on the top of my head. What is it something that I would do normally that comes up differently every time? You get the feeling that I'm a really reflective person. Probably. Yeah, I do that every day. I do that every month or two. So we do a lot of self-evaluation, reflection. It's part of our daily routine for self-improvement, right? Or appreciation. I had that so to elaborate on that last question, tell me something that you do that someone else like me would think to do it differently, but haven't ever considered needing, like, that I would take for granted. Like, that's kind of a fun exercise. Like, it's almost like cultural exchange in a way. When tell me something that you do very often that I wouldn't do. Largely because not necessarily that we like or dislike it, our circumstances make it different. Like, for example, I will offer a personal example. I speak 2 languages at home every single day of my life. Most of the time. But you might be doing it too. I'm kind of curious if you do. And I speak my second language, my mother tongue, is a language that is not taught, but orally exchanged only. Speed dating. Speed running the conversation topics. You might need some time to think about a good example. Okay, no worries. You're sure there are many, but you just don't realize yourself as you're used to it. You hit the nail on the head right there. I'm asking these questions, in my opinion, because it's fun to get people to notice these things for a different reason, right? Like, be present in their life. I like, and that's when meeting people is great, because you can spend time explaining them. I would love to hear your explainer on some of those things. Do you journal at all? I tend to write my thoughts in journals in case I forget, right? I'm getting up in age, so I tend to forget. So I write these things down, and that's what I do most of the time to try to appreciate what I have in life and the stuff that happened, and then how explaining that can get me interested in other people's lives. And hopefully because of that interest, it challenges or it opens up the door to having other people be interested in their lives, because they would have to explain it to me, which is the goal of that question. No, you don't journal. Tested it for a very short period, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, but didn't continue. Okay, fair enough. How about recording? Like, recording yourself having thoughts, right? Like, oh, this is a great idea. Hey, oh no, I can't say this phrase or else I'm gonna activate all my phones, but like, hey, your favorite assistant, make a note to myself. I want to try to do this. So instead of like literally journaling in that way, like traditional journaling, perhaps like some sort of interesting recording device for personal use. Obviously, you don't have to like go crazy and do this type of thing, if that's outside your comfort zone. And then there's a chance those ideas can be one of those days you're like, I wonder what's in my tool of random thoughts. You just break open, it's like, what was I thinking? Pink flowers with a black wallpaper? I don't know. I can't think of a random example, but that would be appropriate in this situation. Watching One Piece in Spanish? Actually, I might actually watch One Piece in Spanish. There is some Spanish words in One Piece, but not sufficient enough. You have any ongoing projects that you're working on? So, not things you have to do, something that you choose to do. Is there anything you're producing, like creatively or hobby-wise, that you're working on that is by choice? Recording could be easier than writing down. You could see that 100%. You haven't considered starting with journaling lately. I see. I'm not sure about wheelchair tech. I haven't really thought about it this way, like how well equipped a wheelchair could be. Like what I mean is maybe there's like automation for wheelchairs for like recording devices and interesting ways to interact. Oh man, sorry, I obviously I don't know you enough, but I could imagine someone who's like well adjusted and like very productive to have a really awesome wheelchair. Like it'd be like with a touch of button, you're practically in your commander seat, so you're like Star Trekking it up, right? You're like, all right, man, I need to catch up on something, and you just hit a button and it just happens. I mean, I'm seated most of the time too, so all I can imagine is like, man, I wonder what it's like to like spend your hobby time trying to make your like retro kind of like fitted your wheelchair so that it does all these cool things. Oh, you don't currently work with anything creative? Okay. It's just consuming, huh? Consuming some media and whatnot. Oh, there was one question, since you reminded me. What is an interesting news story that you're reading right now? And say you read the news. I'm kind of curious. What is capturing your attention right now? Right now, for myself, I again reside in the United States, so the government is shut down right now. So I'm keeping up to date with the economic fallouts, the ripple effects of businesses and running operations while the government is shut down. So right now, the current government budget is being discussed, right? And like contentiously. Yeah, consuming content, basically news, anime, Twitch, right? And playing CS with friends. Yeah, news. What's a recent news story from Norway? That's a very different perspective. So, your news is the perspective that you have on news is probably incredibly startling different than mine. I'm not even sure if foreigners are aware what a US government shutdown is. It hasn't happened in 7 years. I was actually working for the government during one of the years that there were shutdowns, but it's been a while, and I don't know if this ever I don't know if this happens in other countries, so that would be a really interesting topic. But curious what is on the Norwegian news reels right now. What are we talking about? And obviously a secondary related to the government shutdown, the trade war is reignited again recently, so there's that to keep track of. The US Chinese tariff stuff. Let's see. Let's keep continuing here. Do, anger. Sho, sen, sui, drowsy. Sho, symptom. Heck. Te, heighten. Aku, urge. Ako ga yearn. Goku. Goku to Kyoku. Extreme. And healthy. Full ease or peace. And roll or guy. You try to keep updated with all the local stuff in your area, okay. Also, you read NRK, the National State Funded News. Interesting. It's very varied, but it has been a lot about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, I see, and the Ukraine-Russia run. Yeah, I maybe once every 3 or so days, there's an update on those conflicts on like my newsreel, you know, and Trump is in the news every other day. Okay. All right, so I imagine then you're probably familiar with what's going on now, where just recently a new line of tariffs in the trade war is happening, and then there's a government budget negotiations happening right now. Yeah, that sounds about right. May I ask, how do you, so is there anything you do particularly different in CS when you're playing CS? I don't play CS. I watched a bit of CS before. I haven't actually ever touched Counter-Strike in some ways. The closest thing I have to Counter-Strike was I'm a retired Overwatch player. And when I mean a retired Overwatch player, I don't mean like I retired from the professionals, right? Largely more like I retired the game because I keep up with certain live service games, and Overwatch was one of them, but we recently rotated Overwatch out like 3 or 4 years ago. With all that said, right, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna end this section before we move on to Hanzi Hero. You started with CS a little when you were maybe 8 years old. Currently 23. Dang, that's a lot of hours of CS. Am I talking to a professional here? I kid, I'm teasing. I'm gonna end this section for now. Take a little break. So that's the end of our WaniKani section, right? If you're gonna watch this later, arigatou gozaimasu, right? As always, feel free to follow along, pick up WaniKani, give it a try for yourself. Let me know what you think. I would love to yap about, exchange some ideas, right? Talk about each other's lives, what's going on, what do you use for your Japanese, and yeah, keep each other motivated. How long is break? Usually like 2 minutes. I gotta take a bathroom break. I want to stretch. Being confined to the chair, make sure to take stretch breaks and screen breaks, right? I tend to do some flips in the background and check on my dinosaur, and then occasionally make sure that I'm making progress on my time machine. So yeah. No, I don't actually do backflips. I used to do backflips, but I don't. I like walk around, squat a little, do some like bridges, like stretch. I have a mat set out back there to make sure that encourage people to get up. If you can't get up, of course, right? The whole wheelchair thing. Do what you can, right? Learn to embellish your life a little so that you can slow down a bit. Tell me if you need help on a time machine. I've made a few yourself. Nice. All right, folks. So for those who are only interested in WaniKani, right? Minasan mata ne. Mite kurete arigato, right? See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get up, stretch again, check on my baby dino, and I'll be back for Hanzi Hero. Thank you.